Good morning and welcome to the Hair Curler Chronicles.
First day of spring.
First day of spring.
I know, they know who we are.
I wore orange now, so for the first day of spring. Tim and Nancy Danter coming to you from our little kitchen in Kitchener-Waterloo. And we got our fabulous, fun friend Tim Perry on today, back for another bunch of crypto chat with our crypto guru. Welcome, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We're doing good, doing good. Let's see how many sleepless nights we get this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm feeling it now.
Well, you get us so excited we can't sleep.
Well, I've been in it for 4 years and the FOMO's starting to kick in on me again. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You know, it's funny. Last night I had a very interesting conversation with my brother, and he is intrigued and interested, but he's got, you know, some concerns. And I said to him, I remember being where he was at back last June when I first started looking into just Bitcoin. And that seemed way out there to think about just Bitcoin. Like, why would I do this? Why would anybody need this? This doesn't make any sense. And so I wanted to take a moment before we got too far down the rabbit hole on evaluating some altcoins to go back to a bit of the very beginning with the whole foundation of the world of crypto and why does it even exist? Like because he said, you know, we talk a lot about Ethereum being like the internet 2.0, where all of these new projects that we will probably use in our day-to-day life in the future are being built. And he's like, well, why do we need a second internet? Why does that even exist? Where is that coming from? Now I have a theory, but I want to kind of hear your theory about why Ethereum exists and why this is,
or just like why the need for decentralization, et cetera.
Yeah.
I mean, ever since the origins of computers, technology, the idea of Bitcoin has been around for decades. Like early 80s, I think, were some of the first, appearances of cashless digital currencies and stuff like this. And it evolved, and then of course Satoshi Nakamoto comes up with the most, you know, iron-proof coding to create this cashless society. And if you were to kind of go into the mythology of Satoshi Nakamoto, you would find that this person, entity, whatever, created it after that 2008 crash in the US with the mortgages and all that stuff. So this person was someone who saw the current system as flawed. And it is. Anyone who takes a deep, hard look at it, with the rich getting richer, Wall Street being, you know, the big hedge funds being able to get away with stuff, and all these, you know, look at GameStop, right? When the small man started pushing back, they halted funds on GameStop. They changed the rules. They did all that. So the need for, especially, you know, your brother's mentioning why the need for like an internet 3.0 and stuff or stuff like this. The internet now, like including YouTube, is censoring information, right? They're censoring free speech. And I'm a huge believer in, and I'm a libertarian at heart, but like, so I believe in this freedom of speech, even if you sound like an idiot, you know, like you have the right to have a difference of opinion. And now it's like, we can't even entertain that. There's such a fear of people's opinions. So I believe that the need for a new, you know, a decentralized web, or something that doesn't have control from someone whose opinion, you know, my opinion is greater than yours. And if yours isn't, you know, in line with mine, I'm cutting you off. There's a great need to fight back on that kind of stance, you know?
No, I 100% agree. So that's where this is kind of evolved now down to this whole DeFi, and not allowing. That was kind of my thought process. I was more thinking that we've screwed this generation, and the generation above have kind of screwed it for the millennials. That it's hard on some levels for them to get finance for some of these innovative processes because they're just ideas, right? And so you can't just take that idea. So let's talk about union. what would have been the downside for them to take their concept as they were developing it, go through the traditional route, try to get an IPO for it and put it on the stock market, versus what they're trying to do is building it down in this Ethereum? Like, why is it that they couldn't do it on the traditional stock market? Like, why did it go over here?
Great question, actually, and it's something I loosely touch on, but this applies to not just Union. The reason why so many of these companies, these coins, are going the way of crypto and stuff, because there's still centralized protocols, right? Like Kasha that I like, it's centralized, but I still like it. But like they did what was called ICOs, right? Which were big in 2017, which was the ability to put out a fundraising and people pour millions of dollars in it if they believe in the project to try to, and then the team would develop it, etc. If you were to go the way of an IPO, you got to be a big business with big money to get in, right? And I use Ravencoin as an example. Like if a mom and pop shop, they're screwed in this system, right? Like they can't do an IPO because they don't have the money. They can't compete with Walmart's ability to get super cheap prices and fund over in China for cheap labor and send it in like this. But now they've evened the scales because, hey, like if all of us start investing in this mom and pop shop, maybe they're not going to be afraid. Maybe, hey, we'll drop the prices down on this because we have more foundation under us. And it's not just us, like, against the world kind of thing, right? So it's so much easier now. And with NFTs now or security tokens like Ravencoin, you don't need to go the way of a international business patent. You can literally just NFT it and you'll be able to document, like, I am the originator of this content, of this idea. Here was all the information locked on the blockchain, bam, right? Pennies on the dollar. Yeah. So, and I guess it's so disruptive.
I guess the authentication of doing it that way, and that was my idea first, is so quick and so instantaneous now because of technology, compared to an IPO or to a trademark or whatever the case is. That this is, I guess you could look at it as this is the new way of trademarking something.
Trademarks, huge, copyrights, everything. Like this is where I'm not sleeping again, right? Like, because I've been in it for 4 years. I know X amount of information, but there's still so much more. But then, like, on top of that, it's like you guys or someone else is, hey, what do you think about this? And I'm like, whoa, like, what is happening? And then it's just like, you look even a year ago, most of the they were just concepts in crypto still. There's a few ones that have working platforms. Now it's like, they're just coming out of the woods with like, hey, like, I've got already the working product and it does this revolutionary thing. And your mind's spinning. Technology's just, it's evolving at such a rapid pace.
Well, and I think I'm going to touch on something you said, I think in one of our very first videos, is that the ecosystem for crypto is just truly getting started. And even that you called us the normies, and I think that's still funny.
Have to get a t-shirt made like that.
We're the normies. and so, but I'm thinking to myself that it's, one of the things that we're getting the most questions on is, why do I have to have so many wallets? Why do I have to have, why do I have to go to so many different exchanges? This was my brother's question last night. And I go, well, it's kind of, the way I think about it is, it's kind of like, I could only buy certain stocks on the NASDAQ. I can only buy certain things on the Toronto Stock Exchange. I can only buy so many things on the Nikkei. And is that how you would kind of?
I've never even looked at it that way, but you just literally kind of inspired me too. Like when you go out, you have to go to different stores to buy different, whatever it is you need, right? You want electronics, you have to go to Best Buy. You want your food, you have to go to a grocery store. So, I mean, it is true. But just to elaborate, as we've touched on before, this technology is rapidly evolving at a fast pace. There's what's going to be, like, you have different chains right now. The new thing coming is cross-chain, integrations where, Union is on, and I'll just keep using examples of coins that we know when we're talking about. Union is built on Ethereum. So it was like kind of, okay, well, it'll gear towards Ethereum coins, all this. Now you see them partnering with cross-chain, coins that are going to be able to help bridge the cross-chain systems. So Union will be able to help cover something on Binance chain. And there are exchanges that are going to come where, like a Uniswap that is only built on the Ethereum system, can only work with coins built on Ethereum. we'll soon have exchanges that can do, and then you got Pancake Swap, which is Binance chain backed coins. But soon you'll have exchanges that just does all those coins all on one exchange. Once again, if people really want to see where this is going, look at the history of any technology. It always starts out confusing, right? It always starts out more expensive too, big screen TVs. But the internet, when I first dial up, right? You went from dial up, now we're on Wi-Fi. You'll get to the point where you'll most likely your address will be your email password. You'll have one wallet that takes all crypto. Unfortunately for now, you just got to weather those bumps. But, early bird gets the worm. So this is where will people still continue to make money in crypto? Yes, but this is, in my opinion, like I've said before, the last chance to get those life-changing gains off of really small entries.
I remember my father was a banker, worked in banking and whatnot, and he died at a very young age. But he loved the stock market, and he had very early on Microsoft. He had some Apple, he had some really avant-garde things. But when he passed away, my mom was young, I think she was 38, and she was a stay-at-home mom. She had no idea what he was doing with any of these. Right. She didn't understand the company. She didn't understand anything that they were doing. She just sold them all because she didn't want to lose money. So she didn't know. Well, if we'd held on to that, because if he'd been talking to her, you could think about where the money could have been. It would have been, he had her set up for life, basically. Yep. But so I feel it's kind of like that. If you can just catch a vision of what's happening and be open to the possibilities of what's being presented to you, and allow yourself, it kind of feels like an adventure. I feel like Tim and I are on a treasure hunt adventure, and we go down the road a little bit and we get a new clue. So then that leads us down another road. Oh, we see another clue, and then we go down.
Those aren't roads, those are rabbits.
But that's the process everybody takes. I did the same thing, right? And then you make mistakes, and people need to learn too. You are going to mess up. You are not going to get 100% batting average when you take risks, right? You just make sure that the risks that you are taking, that you've studied enough. That way, all you need is especially if you're, I always say that 80% portfolio, 20%. Well, something like Union that I fully believe in, I've got huge stakes in. Some of, which coins, which we've never touched on yet, I have smaller stakes in. Yeah. As long as those big ones that I believed in move, well, I've got bigger stacks in, right? So you take bigger risks on the ones that you've really, but people these days don't realize you can't get to the mountaintop without taking risks.
And I think the way to somewhat mitigate FOMO, because this is the time of FOMO, is to dollar cost average in.
100%.
And it's take a breath between bites.
Yep. And it's a really delicate balance right now. Because crypto, if how many times have, we talked about Union, and a month ago it was at about 3.8 cents when I first told you guys about it. And now it's starting to hit 12, 13 cents. And now it's about 11 today that we just saw. So it doesn't wait for you, but there's always another opportunity if you keep doing your homework. But you have to remember how much time that you have to do this homework, right? So it's this delicate balance of knowing that, okay, there has to be an element of FOMO, because you have to realize if I just sit and wait, maybe 10 days from now, this thing could already be going, right? Yeah. But at the same time, I don't want to be an idiot either. Right. So that's where you have to make sure that you do as much due diligence as fast as you can. And if you don't, then wait for the next ride until you feel more sure about it. Because once it goes out the gate, you kind of don't want to go chasing coins.
Yeah. And it's about having some trusted advisors and even a community of people that you can talk to. I think the community of people that we're building up here on this channel, in the comment section, there's all kinds of people going, have you looked at this? Have you looked at that? How does this go? And what is this? And so if we can take some of those comments and bring it back, and then we have a conversation about it and push it back into the community. Yeah, this is good. No, that's not. Or I wouldn't touch this, but go for here. That at least allows people to have an outlet to talk about, because in other communities, they can talk about stocks. You could easily find information about most stocks because you can Google things. Your brother will have a stock tip. Your uncle will have a stock tip. Your neighbor has a stock tip. In the world of crypto, it's hard to find people who can help you and tell you things right now.
I would say you've now graduated from normie status, because you the other day, and I'm sure we'll touch on this in the next episode, but you guys gave me a coin that I at first was very hesitant on, and now I'm really like excited about. Like to the point where I am suffering sleepless nights FOMO.
Which one would that be, Tim?
We'll touch on it, I guess, next episode, but
Yeah.
That's the hook.
That is the hook. Anyways, thanks for your time today, Tim. And we'll pick this up the next time and we'll talk about NFTs.
looking forward to it.